Okay, so obviously I live here in the city. I own in the city. I have rented in the city. You currently own in the suburbs. We both work kind of in both. So I just want to talk a little bit about like renting versus buying in the suburbs, because I feel like in the city, like there's a lot of information out there about that. But when it comes to the suburbs, I was surprised to know how expensive it is to rent right now.
Yeah. So I actually rented for 5 years. I rented for the longest time. And when I first went in to get quoted for my rent, it was $1,100. So it was great.
Cheap.
Yeah, super cheap. So, each time you would renew the lease, it would, keep going up in price, $200 this year, $300. And at the end of my lease, before we have our house, then it ended up being closer to $2,000, about $1,900, which was, for a one bedroom, is crazy in Naperville. Yeah. So we were very lucky. We closed in 23 in the spring. We were a cash buy, so closed relatively quick. And now, of course, owning a home has been the best thing.
Yeah.
So it's great.
Yeah.
I always like to tell my clients that regardless, you're still paying a mortgage. If you're renting, it's just not yours and you're not getting equity in the house. So,
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I have been so surprised. There's been so many like new construction rental units in the western suburbs, at least like that I've driven by, and they're renting for like $2-3 grand for like 2 to 3 bedrooms. And like the clients that I'm helping finance out there are paying that every single month in their mortgage. And like you said, reaping the benefits of homeownership. Not only that, but their mortgages aren't going up every year like their rental payments will.
Yes.
Maybe a little bit because of property taxes, but not $200 to $300 a month. Like if you
absolutely.
were renting.
And the best thing is, let's just say, of course, your rate is high. You can always refinance that. But with your housing price, you can't always do that.
Totally.
So there's just so many different options, and there's a lot of flexibility when it comes to owning a home.
Yeah. Okay, we all know this market is wild. I want to hear from you on like what can buyers be expecting when it comes to like what are sellers looking for in offers? What are things that, I know every single situation is different and maybe you approach every offer a little bit different, but in general, what are things that people can do to make their offer stand out?
Yeah, of course. So the biggest one is, of course, price. And every seller is very different, so they're looking for different things. But the price of the home really matters. And in this competitive market, as a buyer, you have to be prepared to spend a little extra money and go over asking. Of course, the terms are really important. So if you want to waive inspection, waive appraisal, that's really going to contribute to a faster closing, and a lot of sellers are looking for that. Of course, as well, if you're a cash buy versus financing, and then closing date is the biggest one.
Totally. Yeah, I think from our end too, like something that we've been doing that's been helpful is pre-underwriting our files. So if someone comes to us and they're like, we love this place, what we can do is actually pre-underwrite them so that the only thing that we're waiting on for closing is title coming back clean and an appraisal, which is basically the same as cash. So it's important if you're buying to have people like us on your side who understand how we can help you get that offer accepted, because I have buyers right now working with great agents that have submitted 5-6 offers on places and they're not getting accepted. So coming out the gate as strong as possible is definitely important.
Absolutely. And I noticed a lot of the times when buyers are getting pre-approved, they tend to look at the very top of their budget. A lot of people is what they call house poor nowadays. So it's important to have a team around you that communicates. You don't necessarily want to look at the top of your budget, because then you have to pay for closing costs, and includes attorney fees, title closing, everything. So it's important to really know your range and work with people that are really great at communicating that with you.
Totally. Also, shopping a little bit beneath your actual desired budget so that you can go up in price if it gets competitive, because like you said, it's pretty much a given. And in this market that you're going to pay above what that starter price is. So
yeah, absolutely.
I have so many people right now that are living in the city and moving to the suburbs, young people. And I just want to hear from you, because you live there. Like, what does the suburbs have to offer for us youngins?
Yeah, so I live in Naperville, always have lived there, love the area so much. And the best thing is we do live by the train station. So there is that easy accessibility to the city. So, if you want to go to a concert or anything, you're still able to do that. But the best thing is you have a lot of land, which I think a lot of people want, especially after COVID. As we all know, people want the extra space because everyone's locked up at home. And I think people after COVID really got used to that. So, you love the space, you get more for your money a lot of the times out in the suburbs, and the taxes are great. So I live in DuPage County where the taxes are the best compared to, Cook County. So the experience is great, and also being in Naperville, you're by downtown Naperville, which does have kind of the city feel to it.
Naperville is mini Chicago.
It is.
Every time I go there, I'm like, we have that. Like all the I feel like all the restaurants are just coming out your way.
Oh yeah, I mean, we have Ramsey's Kitchen out there. So many really great, well-known places that you guys also have in the city. So you're getting kind of that comfort, the feeling of safety, the community feeling, but being in Naperville.
I have a secret to share. So maybe once or twice I have looked into moving into the suburbs. And one thing that I found super cool, like what you said initially about the train, like my husband works downtown. He commutes to the Loop every single day, and his commute time would actually be the exact same with less walking if we were to move to, I think I was looking in like Lombard, but like his commute would be the same from the city.
It's crazy, yeah.
In the suburbs.
Well,
crazy.
The traffic is crazy, yeah, because I came down here and, of course, the GPS will say 45 minutes, and then when you get closer, you have the extra 15, 20 minutes being added on, which is great. In Naperville, you're not running too much into the traffic, into the chaoticness. So if you wanted to, you can go to a Cubs game or go to a Sox game and then come back to Naperville, and it's kind of like this nice sanctuary where you still do have a great nightlife, food, kind of everything that you're looking for. So Savannah, I have a ton of first-time home buyers out in the suburbs looking to buy, but a lot of them are, worried because interest rates are fluctuating up and down almost every day, and I feel like 6% is kind of the new norm. So what would you say to first-time home buyers that are kind of scared? What different options would you give them?
Yeah, so I guess the one thing to know about buying your first house is that the minimum you can put down is 3% on a conventional mortgage. So you don't have to worry about having $100,000 in your bank account if you're trying to buy. I think a lot of people are probably more prepared to buy than they think, but in their head they need this lump sum of money, before they're ready to buy, which just isn't true. So I guess a little story. I bought last February, and my interest rate was 6.99%. Why did I decide to do that anyways? Was because of all of the benefits of home ownership outside of just, what you might expect. So just because you might be paying a little bit more every single month for your mortgage than you would be in rent, I think you mentioned this earlier, you're paying your own mortgage finally. If you're renting, maybe your rent was $200 less than your new mortgage, but you're paying all that money every single month, whatever it might be, $2,000 to somebody else. So understanding like the benefits of home equity and building that up, and really like what that means for you in the next 5 to 10 years, I think can really open your perspective of like, this is a good idea. Reaping the benefits of appreciation over time. I think when it comes to loan options, there's a couple things you can do. One thing that I think not a lot of people maybe understand or take advantage of, you can actually take a higher interest rate, a slightly higher interest rate, and get extra money back from the lender. And that's not even like a grant program or anything like that. That's just something that's available to everyone. And when I bought, I actually did that. So instead of taking a 675, I took a 699 with $4,000 extra back at closing, because it helped with like my closing costs, everything like that. So if you're worried about like, needing a grant or cash on hand, like there are options to help you with that. And if you need someone to help you understand the benefits of home ownership long term, her and I have bought a house within the last year and would be happy to share our personal experience and like why it was worth it for us.
Yeah, and I think it's great too, talking to people that have been in that market themselves.
Yes.
And you can really understand the emotion behind it. But I mean, it's an investment, so the younger you start, the better.
Yeah, I mean, it is an investment, and there can be sacrifices that come along with that, whether it's like your monthly payment, upfront investment with your closing costs, but changing your perspective on why it's worth it, I think, will go such a long way.
Yeah, absolutely.